back to another demo drum lesson. So by now we've gone through the notes, how they work. We've looked at the parts of the drum kit, played a basic drum beat, and we've started off some rudiments. Rudiments are very important because they get your hands moving, and that is a very important part of drumming, is getting your hands moving. Obviously we'll bring in through the drum kit work getting your legs moving as well, but for now really want to focus on hands because that is where a lot of the drumming happens. And we do something called rudiments, which is used in all walks of life, but particularly used in drumming as well. The Percussive Art Society, which is an international body, I think they're based out of America, produce something called drum rudiments. They are sort of the basics of being able to drum, and originally I think there was 26, but then they upped it to 40. They brought in drags, and we'll talk about what a drag is later, and a few other flams and other rudiments to take it up to 40. They've changed their stance on tempo over the years, so I've got, which I will sort of talk through, I've got some tempos that are essentially what you used to aspire to back in the olden days when I was learning how to drum. They're really quite fast, if I'm honest. There's a beginner, intermediate and an advanced level, and most people struggle to get beyond beginner. Now the Percussive Arts Society, if you go to their website, they take a view of going from open to closed to open, and when you move to closed it should be fast. So what do we mean by open and closed? Well, if I take something like double strokes, and I'll explain what this is in a little while, right, right, left, left, okay, they're open when I play them like this. As I get faster, that sort of buzzing sound is closed. It's relying more on a bounce rather than actually individual strokes. And that is part of the whole piece really for drumming, is that open and closed sound. So you get an open roll and you get a closed roll, which is a traditional drum roll as people know and love it and see it. So, and normally closed is played a lot faster, as you could see. This sounds slower, even though it's quite fast for open, compared to that which is closed. So they recommend you go from a slow open tempo to a fast closed tempo and back. I'm not a fan of that because, as you know, drummers have to play to time, so I prefer people to have a tempo to play to, a click, metronome. So I will probably do a mixture of both, but for now we won't worry so much about tempos. We just need to actually learn them, and learn them playing to some sort of click so that you understand the sort of speed you're playing them at. Okay, so I'll put the link in the sort of YouTube sort of description of this site, but essentially there is a website you can go to, and there's a PDF, it's free, you can download all the rudiments as they're known. You may not recognise how that works. We'll go through them individually in this, and they're into sections. Some of the sections are quite large, so we'll probably chunk them up into a couple of subparts, but for now we're going to look at the roll rudiments, which is section 1 and it's part A. Okay, so if I put a moderate tempo, let's start off slow actually, let's go 50. Very slow tempo. But the way they're written is 30-second notes, which means you've got to fit 8 notes into every one of those clicks. Okay, so if you were doing drumming, you may sit there and think that, and probably this is the best way to start off. Right, left, right, left, right, So this is quarter notes, playing with the beat. We can do 8 notes. Two per click. Wrist should be bending, not arms for this. So come up and down, and when you hit, you should be a couple of inches off your pad. We then move to 16th notes, which is probably the most common way single strokes are played. So it's 4 per beat. Then get into how it's written on the PAS Rudiments sheet that you will have the link to download in the description, which is 30-second notes, which means you've got 8 hits per beat. So that is basically how you could play it. Now 50 is quite slow. Realistically, I recommend you probably start at 60, probably get up to 70, and once you've really mastered this, get up to 80. Now that sheet I was referring to, the beginner level for this at 30-second notes is 80, which is quite fast. And you'll notice I'm doing it deliberately, but I'm accenting the 1 of every 4 beats just to show the timing. You don't need to do that, you should keep it even. Now to get that sort of speed, you'll notice I've gone from big strokes into quite small, still open but small. Okay? So that is the first one. It's called single stroke roll, and the idea is that you play a tempo and you just keep it going. Now it's not written, but as I've told you time and time again, whatever you do with your right, you must be able to do with your left. So you need to start with your left as well. Which is weird, because essentially after the first hit it's exactly the same thing, but that mental bit of trying to get over the starting off with the left is quite weird if you're a right-hander like I am. So that's something for you to play around with and to work out. Okay. Next one is a single stroke 4, which is a triplet. Now we haven't covered what a triplet is. A triplet is 3 beats within 1 space. Okay. You will normally play it. So if let's slow it down to 70. So most drumming is written in patterns of 2 and 4. 1, 2, 1, 2. It's a very cool effect putting triplets in, putting 3 into that space, because it's unnatural and it gives a different sound effect. So it is quite odd. Actually, it's quite slow still. Let's go back up to 80. That's 4. So you can see it's quite different sounding having the 3 into the space of 4. So this next one is, if you think about the fact you can, in each click, you can fit 2 eighth notes. So that would, if we go back down to 70, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So back to single stroke 4s, we have these triplets, which is within the space. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 3. It goes into 3s. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 1 meander, 2 meander, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 1 meander, 2 meander, 1 triplet, 2 triplet. So that's what it sounds like. Okay, so that is a 4-stroke roll. It is a triplet, 1, 2, 3 in the space, and then on the and is a 4. So if we slow that down a bit, down to say 60, that's a triplet in that space. Now we've got to fit within half that space, the 1 and 2 and. Before we get to the and, we've got to fit triplet. Okay, and then we add an extra beat, so we're doing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Triple and, 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 triple and. Okay? So these are great. I use single stroke 4s a lot. You can get them really fast. And they sound really good. And of course, we've got to do what we do with the right hand with the left hand. Okay? So, make sure you do it both ways. The last bit is a 7-stroke roll, which is right, left, right, left, right, left, 1. So you've got we've got 6s, which is a really odd concept, because that's normally something that comes along in really quite advanced drumming. The way I think about it is 2 sets of triplets, effectively. I know it's written as 16th notes with a 6 over the top, but essentially to fit it into the space, you're going to do like that. Okay. The last beat, the 7, is on the next beat. So it's 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 1. 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 Left. As I said, that really comes in quite advanced linear pattern drumming and soloing and stuff like that. You won't use that for quite some time, but it's good to get used to it now and thinking about fitting 6 into the space of a beat, because that is something that isn't natural. The way I always think of it is 2 sets of triplets. You know, we're learning triplets here and we can fit that in. So just to recap, at 60, we've got our 30-second notes single stroke rolls, 8 hits into each beat. We've then got the single stroke 4s, which is a triplet in the first half of the beat, and you hit the and as if you were doing 8th notes. And then we've got our 7-stroke rolls, which is across 2 beats. Okay. that is the lesson for today. Okay, so single stroke rudiments. Make sure you do nice and slow tempo to begin with. Play to a click or a metronome, whatever you have, even if it's on your phone, because that will allow you to fit into the space. Otherwise you'll just hit a random amount of notes and you won't actually know what you're doing. So that's today's lesson. Thank you very much for coming along, and I hope you found that useful. Keep practicing these through the week, get them right, and we'll have another rudiment lesson soon. Thank you very much. Goodbye.